I'm Matt Ward, and this is the People's Orchestra and Show Choir podcast. As usual, we will be informing you about what's happening now and looking into the future to what's coming up for TPO and TPSC. This month I catch up with Julian Powell from the Board of Trustees to discuss his work and role, chat with Mandy Toor, our talented first violinist and orchestra leader, and speak with Annie Routley, who's been part of the People's Orchestra since its very first rehearsal 14 years ago. Before we get into this month's packed programme though, let's go over to Chris for April's...
The word of the month is Sforzando. It is an indication to make a strong, sudden accent on a note or chord. Sforzando literally means subito forzando, which translates to suddenly with force. The effect of a sforzando may be interpreted and explained in both dynamics and articulation. Sforzando can be written as a note accent that appears in sheet music as an upside-down V symbol, or simply with the letters S, F, Z above or below the note.
Thanks, Chris. Joining us now is someone who plays a truly vital role in bringing our orchestra together, our fantastic first violin and leader, Mandy Toor. As the musical bridge between conductor and players, Mandy not only helps shape our sound, but also brings a wonderful sense of passion and positivity to the group. Hi Mandy, how's your day going so far?
Good morning. The day is going very well so far. Feel awake and ready for this. Just done an 8 till 9 violin club at one of the primary schools in Sandwell.
Well, thanks for joining us. So, as leader of the orchestra, how do you inspire and bring out the best in your fellow musicians?
Okay, so I feel it would be very selfish of me to turn around and say that I single-handedly do this, but I feel like our group is very fortunate to have so many positive people within it. So for example, of course, if we've got any new members starting our orchestra, I happen to be quite the social butterfly, so I do like to think of myself as quite welcoming and ready to talk to, whoever's coming through the doors. I think as a general rule, everybody talks to everybody, and we like to celebrate things that go right. So it's a case of, if someone's just shredded an absolute beast of an area in a piece, it is the type of group that will clap something that has happened that has gone very, very well. So I think we're all very much about building each other up and celebrating the positives and just generally being very welcoming. Well,
that sounds like a lovely environment. How has being part of this ensemble helped you grow as a musician and as a person?
Well, I've been playing since I was 6, so I've gone through the systems of growing up within the local borough music service. So I was in Sandwell Music Service. I then studied music throughout college. I then went to conservatoire. So I've always known music. Music has always been something that I've really been interested in. And because I went to Leeds Conservatoire, so it was a case of I moved up to Leeds, but I always knew I was coming back to the West Midlands. And I finished doing all my university ensembles where I led the orchestra and was part of quartets and duos and all this sort of business. When I came back to the Midlands, I was kind of a bit like, I'd really like an ensemble to play in. Mm-hmm. And our music service used to always play in West Brom Town Hall. And so I had a bit of a research, as you do, of bands and orchestras that are around. And I kind of just fancied something a bit different as well, because I've always had the classical background. Mm-hmm. And I still am to this day in multiple different groups, playing multiple different things. About a month ago, I played Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, as well as Haydn's Trumpet Concerto, in another group that I'm part of. However, the reason I got drawn to TPO was because the music that we play isn't the standard repertoire that you'd play in, say, Birmingham Philharmonic. As much respect and love I have for groups like that, I already have my fill of standard classical repertoire. So when I saw the People's Orchestra offered avenues that specialise in, film music, game music, TV music, it's just something a bit different and something that it really, really appealed to me. So I thought, oh, it's an orchestra that not only rehearses in an area that I'm familiar with, that not only does concerts at West Brom Town Hall, where I've grown up doing concerts with the music service, there was that sense of home and that sense of familiarity.
Yeah.
In a weird way, it just felt like coming home. So even though I didn't know anybody in the group at the time, and I didn't know any of the people that played, it was just a case of it felt right. And as soon as I came, I instantly made connections with other people. I think our cellist, Kerry, joined pretty much at the same time as me. Skip forward to this current day, there's people that I was in Sandor Music Service with that have also joined. So it's kind of like collated to be an essence of family as such. So you end up coming to these rehearsals and you make friends with the people that you see every week, you speak to them, but then you've got the nice familiarity of people that you used to play with back in the day have now also joined.
It sounds like you came for the music but stayed for the people.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a double whammy, it's a bonus, isn't it? It's music that I think appeals to the non-musicians out there more so. I mean, speaking from my own personal experience, when I'm playing in schools and I'm doing, live music weeks or demo days, and you think about that music that you're playing to the children, as important as it is to bash out a bit of Vivaldi's Four Seasons and, a bit of like the classical repertoire, the music that excites them is when you play the Harry Potters and the music that children are inspired.
Or Clean Bandit in an orchestral style, like in Bridgerton.
That's it. And I mean, they don't think about it when they're watching these films. So they're watching things like Harry Potter. I've got a bit of beef with this actually, because Harry Potter came out when I would have been in year 5. I'm 33 now. So when I go into schools and I see people are still Potter mad to this day, I think it's absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. And that it's such a phenomenon that these kids are still so passionate about a franchise that started when I was in primary school, which was sad to think. It was quite a few years ago now. But they're like saying, oh...
But it's great to see you haven't lost your passion.
That's it. They're saying, oh, Harry Potter's my thing. And I'm like, hold on. Harry Potter's my thing. But in the grand scheme of things, Harry Potter is our thing. So we've got that thing to bounce off between us.
So what advice would you give to somebody who might feel nervous about joining an orchestra for the first time but wants to get involved?
I'd say put those nerves at ease, get your instrument out, get yourself down to a rehearsal. We've got 2 fantastic groups for you to join. If you're confident and you feel ready for these rehearsals, come and join the People's Orchestra, particularly if you're a string player. If you're grade 5 and you're just ready, we're here for you. If you're not so confident with your sight reading and you feel like you just need a bit of an ease into it, by all means come and join the Rusties, where it's a bit more of a slower pace and easier environment musically. Either way, there's groups for you ready to join. Come join us.
Excellent. That sounds like great fun. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today, Mandy.
No problem at all.
So if you'd like to give the People's Orchestra a try, rehearsals are Sunday evenings at Trefoil House in Birmingham between 4 and 7 p.m. But if you haven't played in a while or don't have the confidence in your sight reading, then the Rusty Players Orchestra is the perfect place for you, with 4 locations in Barry Island, the Black Country, Carmarthen and South Birmingham. So go to the website and click on 2 weeks free. Now, Julian Powell is on the Board of Trustees for the People's Orchestra, and he's also the conductor for the Rusties Orchestra and percussionist for both the People's Orchestra and the People's Big Band. And he joins me here today. Hello, Julian.
Hi there. How you doing there, Matt?
Very, very good, thank you. So, you're absolutely immersed in the charity. Tell me how you got involved.
I got involved in the charity quite a while ago. It was, a long time while it started. I filled in for other percussionists when they weren't there for concerts and things. So I did 1 or 2 concerts back in the day.
Okay. So, and which different aspects of the orchestra and the Rusties and all of that, which one did you start with and how did you kind of progress through? And then how did you reach actually being on the board?
This was when I started. It was just the People's Orchestra. There were no choirs, no rusties, no anything else. It was just about the orchestra, and I filled in then. And then I came back a few times, and I think it was just after the pandemic when they did the first concert. They didn't have a drummer, so I filled in for a few concerts then. And then they got a drummer in who they've got in now, Andy. And I've been playing percussion along with my partner, who also plays percussion.
Mm-hmm. How is it that you first got involved in music? Have you been playing music since you were a child?
Yes, I first got into music at 8 years old. With our family, my mother's parents had moved away to America and they'd left the piano behind with us. And they said, "Hey, you're going to have piano lessons." So that's how I got started. And I always wanted to learn jazz, but I was told I had to learn classical. So I learned to love them both. And my brother was in a marching band, and I used to go along on Sundays because, free childcare. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to play drums just like him. But then one day I saw a xylophone and thought, wow, it's like a piano, but it's like a drum. Okay. And then through that, I carried on. I carried on and did quite a long time in marching bands and everything. Ended up teaching, playing in bands in America, and teaching and arranging for bands all over the world, actually. It's Germany, Holland.
It sounds like music's always been a part of your life. What is it that made you choose to dedicate your love of music and that time to the People's Orchestra?
Yeah, you're right there. Music has always been part of my life, and it's one of those things. I've tried different things where educationally going for business or sport and everything, but in the end, I'd always come back to music. When things didn't work out, I'd always come back to music. So with the People's Orchestra, with the larger range of things that they're doing, it just made a lot of sense because I can get my classical music and get my jazz music. I can get a whole bunch of different styles within that one organisation.
So now you're a member of the board of the charity. What's your day-to-day in terms of that role?
It's more, we have meetings from time to time and then we'll discuss issues there, or if an issue is it comes up and it's very important, we'll have an emergency meeting and we'll discuss it there. So it's not really a day-to-day thing. It's more when the meetings come up to summarize things or if an important issue comes up. But it also gives me a good connection if I see something, because I'm so involved in all of the groups. If I see something, I can also raise it as well. I'm like an inside man.
Perfect. So as a member of the board, how do you approach discussions and decision making, especially in ensuring that everybody's voice is heard and that you're advocating for all members?
The board, well, the board is very varied. Everybody who is in the board, it does cover a large spectrum of everybody. We've got all genders, ages, races as well. So, and also financial backgrounds, which makes a huge decision, because we've had a few decisions lately to help support the workers in the office. And as it relates to the cost of actually getting to work and everything and pay and everything like that. So with having that variety of people on the board, that really does help us make it a good discussion, as opposed to just, we think this, okay, we all agree. So if there's anything, we can have a full discussion that will we can really flesh out the matter and then come to a good decision.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you and getting to know more about you. Will you come back in the future for a future episode and talk about the Rusties Orchestra? Yes, I definitely would like to talk about the Rusties, because it's all very new to me as well, so I'm pretty rusty. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Julian. Thank you. Joining us now, who's someone who's been with the People's Orchestra since day one in 2012. She's seen it grow from its very first rehearsal to the incredible organisation it is today. Annie Routley is both a dedicated musician and a true part of the TPO family. Hi Annie, you've been with the People's Orchestra since the very beginning. What is it that made you join, and what is it that keeps you coming back?
What made me join is the repertoire. TPO plays almost entirely big film scores, and they are so exciting to play. that's what's kept me coming back.
Fantastic. Now we're here, all these years later, rehearsing for the People's Orchestra biggest ever performance at Symphony Hall. How does that feel?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's an amazing hall. It's all red and gold, and the acoustics are incredible.
What's it been like watching new projects like the show choirs or big band grow out of what was originally just an orchestra?
It's been wonderful to see how it's diversified. I particularly love the fact that we've got a rusty players orchestra, which encourages people to get their instrument out of the attic and start playing again.
Yeah.
And I've done a number of concerts with rusties when they needed an extra string player. And everything that the TPO organisation does is very positive and very life-affirming for people.
Yeah, I've got that across. I mean, this is my 4th episode that we've made of this show now, and that is really truly a running theme. Do you feel like being part of something from the ground up has shaped your experience differently than if you joined later?
Yes, I mean, we started very, very small. We didn't have enough to make an orchestra at first, so there were 5 flute players and me on viola doing Scott Joplin, 5 clarinets doing Disney tunes, and 5 brass doing brassy things. But eventually we had enough. But fortunately, the organisers didn't hold out for double woodwind and desks of strings. We only had 2 violas for the first year and no other strings, but we had 14 flutes and a dozen saxophones. So we've always arranged for what we've got. And I love the flexibility of that.
Yeah. OK, so now in 2025, we have a better balance with more strings to match the number of flutes. And I'm sure that as a larger orchestra, that could be quite intimidating for new members. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking of joining, and how would you make anyone trying out feel comfortable?
I would encourage them to join because it's added so much to my life, and I'd want them to be part of that. I always try and greet every new member and tell them a bit about the history, but also how much I love and how much it's added to my life being part of TPO.
Great. Annie, it's been incredible hearing about your journey from the very first rehearsal to now, preparing for Symphony Hall. Your story really shows what the People's Orchestra is all about: community, resilience, and the power of music to bring people together. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
If you've been inspired by Annie's journey and want to help us continue creating life-changing opportunities through music, please consider making a donation. Every contribution, big or small, helps us keep this amazing community going and growing, so that even more people can experience the magic of what Annie has been part of since day one. Go to the website, thepeoplesorchestra.com, and click on the donate button. We are now well into spring. All of our ensembles are eagerly beginning to work on an exciting new repertoire of music in preparation for our local community concerts in the summer. We're warming up our vocal cords and our walking boots for our second ever The People's Show Choir event as the Scottish Highlands Tour draws closer, the next major event in our calendar. And remember, you can march through April by joining us for one of our free walking choir events, which are listed on the website under the Events tab. If you're not already a member, now's the perfect time to think about joining us. Head to thepeoplesorchestra.com to find out how to sign up for 2 weeks free for the People's Orchestra, one of our 20 show choirs, a Rusty's Player Orchestra, or Big Band. Thank you for listening to this episode of the People's Orchestra and Show Choir podcast. In next month's episode, I'll be talking to members about the hugely successful Mother's Day concert Back to the Movies at Birmingham Symphony Hall on March 30th. If you missed it, don't worry. As well as our feature in next month's podcast, you'll be able to catch up on highlights from the concert on our YouTube channel. Check out the website, thepeoplesorchestra.com, and follow the People's Orchestra and the People's Show Choir social media channels. And if you would like to find out more about how I can help you with making a podcast for your organisation, take a look at my website, audioeditingsecrets.com, and follow my social media, which is Audio Editing Secrets on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. I've been Matt Ward. Thank you for listening.